at it again, and we have another one with Ben Shapiro. Let's dive in.
So, apparently it is no longer okay to say that women exist. And this is true even if you are a down-the-line, incredible, crazy lib. It doesn't seem to matter. So the latest example comes courtesy of Politico. Politico has an entire article titled The Metamorphosis of JK Rowling when it comes to trans rights. Some fans believe the Harry Potter author is more Death Eater than Dumbledore. She's evil. She knows.
The only thing I'm mad at JK Rowling about is that she ended Harry Potter. You know, I was late to the Harry Potter train. I didn't watch Harry Potter until maybe 3 years ago and was just absolutely amazed by that entire series. I know this is a little bit off topic, but yeah, that's the only thing I'm mad at Miss Rowling for. That's it. We need more Harry Potter, baby. We need more of it.
That women exist, and you're not allowed to do that sort of thing. That's bad. She's evil. She noted that women exist, and you're not allowed to do that sort of thing. That's bad. When it comes to JK Rowling, says Sarah Wheaton of Politico, even some of the children author's biggest fans are finding it increasingly necessary to separate the work from the creator. Join the Potter Trail walking tour in her adopted hometown of Edinburgh, and you'll learn that Rowling wrote much of the first Harry Potter novel at Nicholson's Cafe. The establishment was co-owned by her brother-in-law, so as a broke, recently divorced single mom, she could nurse cheap espresso all day without guilt for taking up a table. You'll also be told how, as a best-selling author, 12 years later, Rowling treated herself to exclusive luxury while finishing her last novel at a suite in the 5-star Balmoral Hotel just half a mile up the road. On a cold, blustery Wednesday in February, a Potter Trail guide named Alex recounted how Rowling downed a bottle of champagne by herself to celebrate the triumphant moment because she's a legend. The tour is free, but Wizarding fans are encouraged to provide an optional donation. A proportion goes to the Scottish Trans Alliance, an activist group promoting rights for transgender people. Many of you may be aware of JK Rowling's recent tweets concerning transgender issues, reads an explanation on the tour group's website. It's a difficult time to be a Harry Potter fan for many, but we sincerely wish JK Rowling's views not to diminish our appreciation of the books and their messages of inclusion and tolerance. So my daughter, who is 8, really likes the Harry Potter books. She also understands that girls and boys exist because she's not an idiot. I played a little game with my 2-year-old daughter yesterday. It was called Girl and Boy, and here's how it worked because she started the game. She would point to a person in the crowd where we were, and she would say, girl or boy. She was right 100% of the time because she is not, again, an idiot. And yet we are supposed to believe that in order for you to properly read Harry Potter, you have to disown JK Rowling for the crime of noticing that boys and girls exist. Absolute insanity, of course.
Yeah, that's insane.
Politico.
What does her statements have to do with the actual book itself? Now, honestly, I've never read the books. I've just watched the movies and was just absolutely amazed by them. Maybe the books are better. You guys can let me know in the comment section. But I don't know. I don't think it gets better than those movies I watched. My goodness, were they fantastic.
Laments all of this. Say, if anything, as the criticism has mounted, Rowling has only become more combative, cheerfully retweeting her detractors to trigger pile-ons from fellow thinkers. She's bad because she's noticing people are mean to her. What's more, when it comes to driving the debate, she seems to be winning. Asked earlier this year by an anonymous poster whether her battle was a hill she wanted her legacy to die on, she answered tartly, yes, sweetheart, I'm staying right here on this hill defending the right of women and girls to talk about themselves, their bodies, and their lives in any way they damn well please. You worry about your legacy, I'll worry about mine. She is correct.
Right on.
But this means that she is very, very bad. And this means that Politico has to run a full, several thousand-word piece about how bad she is, how she's going to get trans people.
She's bad because she said women should be able to talk about themselves and how they feel, and she's defending free speech. She didn't, as far as my knowledge goes, she didn't say that, trans folks, are horrible, no good, very bad people. She just said there's men and women. What is wrong with that? See, I think the problem is we've just gone way too far, and now you're getting more and more people who are coming out and saying, all right, this stuff is just getting absolutely ridiculous. And the individuals pushing for a lot of this, who push for people not to be able to say what a woman is, they're going to get a rude awakening because I just feel like it's gone too far. And I don't mean like a rude awakening in life-threatening, in a life-threatening way, or, harm to, themselves or anything like that. But for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. We all know that. And even with that being said, I don't think the reaction is going to be equal, because if it was equal, I wouldn't agree with it, because you'd have a lot of violence going on. Because, of course, we've watched videos where if you say what a woman is, or if you question what a woman is, things have gotten violent. That's not what is going to happen. But people are going to start speaking their minds and not care when someone calls them a phobe or, tries to silence them. I don't care. Go ahead. And also, people are going to start voting with their dollars. I mean, you guys saw the Toy Story box office numbers. Didn't look very impressive to me. And as a matter of fact, there was another movie that came out. Was it last weekend? There was another kids movie. I thought about making a video on it, but there was another kids movie that came out about a week ago, I think, and completely blew Toy Story's numbers out of the wazoo. This is Toy Story. This is a huge thing. Like, I watched Toy Story. That used to be the stuff. I might have gone to watch it with my daughter. I mean, she would have known what was going on, but I might have gone and watched it. I would have enjoyed it. But, when you start doing a lot of this woke stuff and all this extra stuff, like, just let kids be kids. Like, why are we doing all this extra stuff? I don't understand. And they paid for it because a lot of people didn't go see it. A lot of people didn't take their kids to go see it. But, and forgive me, but I'm forgetting the name of the children's movie that came out about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. But the box office numbers blew Toy Story out of the water. I think people have spoken with their dollars. And at the end of the day, if it don't make dollars, then it don't make sense. That's just a fact. These companies are in the business to make money. They have employees that have to get paid. So, yeah, eventually they'll change their tone because people are starting to vote with their dollars.
People killed for noticing that women exist. By the way, speaking of this, my friend Dave Rubin was just...
And once again, I'm sorry, before we get too deep into that, I do want to say this. This is nothing against, trans or gay or lesbian or queer, whatever individuals personally. But this is, I think, a message to people pushing a lot of this woke stuff. Because there's a lot of great and amazing trans individuals out there who don't agree with all of this craziness, right? There's a lot of individuals. I've spoken to one personally. We watched one in the What is a Woman trailer. The woman who transitioned to be a man said that I if you guys remember, we checked out the video, said, I will never be a man. Just flat out. And that's the truth. Like, you can change your outward appearance, but you'll never be the opposite sex. Like, that just is impossible. It just can't happen. You can chop off your twigs and berries and slap on some silicone and all that stuff all you want to, but it's just not possible. It doesn't invalidate you as being a human, but it just means that you can't be the opposite. You can look like it. No problem. And the problem is if you say that you're a phobe, and it's just like, wait, what? How do I hate an individual because I spoke truth? I don't hate. And it's just weird. It just doesn't make any type of sense. Oh yeah, you hate these individuals. No, I don't. I don't wish any type of harm. I don't have any malintent. I don't, I don't understand. It just doesn't make sense at all. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about all of this in the comments section. Let's get back into it.
Suspended from Twitter for mentioning that Jordan Peterson had been suspended from Twitter for mentioning that Ellen Page is actually a woman who is now called Elliot Page, and the media say is a man. You're not allowed to mention any of that, apparently. That's very, very bad. So apparently people in the Democratic Party are now worried that Joe Biden doesn't have a handle on this economy. Maybe the dead giveaway is that he's now tweeting at gas stations. Not kidding. That is a thing that he is doing. So he tweeted over the weekend, July 2nd, quote, "My message to the companies running gas stations and setting prices at the pump is simple. This is a time of war and global peril. Bring down the price you are charging at the pump to reflect the cost you're paying for the product, and do it now." Well, no, because we have to invest that money because you've prevented future investment. I like that Joe Biden says that if he just yells, he's an old man standing outside a gas station yelling at it. That's the president of the United States now. He's just yelling at things. It's too hot outside. Look at the sun. You son. Come on, man. Jack. You pony dog, pony boy. Sun, too hot outside. Stop that shining. Stop that right now. And somebody shimmered out. Joe Biden, by the way, is so with it that, again, on July 4th, he finished a speech, did not know where to go, and was played off by the band while he wandered around aimlessly with his shirt unbuttoned down to his navel. Apparently, this is a thing now. So, Joseph R. McBiden is really blowing it out here at age 98.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks. I just met your son.
Still talking to people, and the band comes in. Joe, you need to leave. Like, where do I go now? I don't know. Where's the nurse? Oh, she's... who are you? Where am I? Why am I? Things are going great for the Democrats. According to Politico, President Joe Biden says there's nothing inevitable about a recession in the U.S. He's an increasingly lonely voice about that prospect. From Wall Street to Washington, whispers about a coming economic slump have risen to nearly a roar as the Federal Reserve ramps up its battle against the highest inflation in 4 decades. Price spikes and the Fed's aggressive interest rate hikes sent the benchmark S&P 500 stock index tumbling to its worst performance in the first half of the year since 1970. So things are going fantastically. Consumer confidence has sunk to record lows. Economists are increasingly worried a downturn will not only happen, but happen soon. A danger underscored by one widely watched Fed growth tracker. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has begun saying the quiet part out loud. The central bank is willing to tolerate a recession if it means getting inflation under control. He said the bigger mistake to make would be to fail to restore price stability. While Biden has publicly backed Powell's efforts, raising expectations of recession are compounding the administration's economic woes as Democrats head into a congressional election this year. Everyone is screaming about inflation, said Josh Bivens, research director at the left-leaning Economic Policy Institute. But people would really hate a recession too. Yes, it turns out we don't like either of those things. Inflations and recessions, both are bad. Americans are already pessimistic about the economy, even as unemployment sits at 3.6%, and a contracting economy would deepen the pain, bringing a wave of layoffs and pay cuts. The mood could get a lot more sour, said Bivens, who argues that if the economy contracts, that would mean the Fed has screwed up by going too far in trying to curb surging prices. Across the nation, the leading topic of economic conversation, high inflation, is swiftly morphing into growing certainty of a coming recession. White House allies are bracing for it. Republican lawmakers are trumpeting that a downturn is inescapable. Wall Street analysts are increasingly building it into their forecasts. Business leaders have rapidly moved from muted fears to openly chattering about an economic slump during investor.
I've been following along with a lot of this stuff, outside of making videos on it on my own time, and just about everyone across the board agrees it's coming. Not everyone agrees on when, but most people agree on it actually happening. So, get prepared, y'all. Get prepared.
Discussions and inside their companies. Some Democrats, for their part, are still pointing to bright spots in the economy, hoping the central bank will manage to slow growth without tipping the country into a full-blown slump. Representative Jim Himes of Connecticut Democrats said, quote, a recession would be really problematic. Boy, are we ever a long way from a recession, though? We might be in one right now. We have 1 quarter of negative growth. According to Michael Ferroli, the chief U.S. economist at J.P. Morgan Chase, he said a downturn could start even as soon as this quarter, with recent data showing that consumer spending is beginning to slow. Things are looking like we're losing altitude pretty quickly, he said. The government confirmed last week the economy shrank in the first 3 months of the year. Atlanta Fed's economic growth tracker is pointing to increased chances of a second quarter contraction, which would be an official recession.
Yep.
Because recessions are 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth.
Mm-hmm.
So we might already be in one, as I've been saying for literally months at this point. Charles Calamiris, a Columbia Business School professor who served as chief economist at a bank regulatory agency under former President Trump, warned that if the Fed caused more pain than investors are currently baking in, it could cause a serious recession. The best way the Fed can prevent the public from expecting persistently surging prices is if it shows it's willing to have a real recession until inflation gets tamed. But of course, Joe Biden is freaking out about that, and so he's yelling at the gas companies, which leads the Wall Street Journal editorial board to point out that what Joe Biden is doing makes no sense. It's embarrassing, says the Wall Street Journal.
Of course it makes no sense. This is all by design. I'm just about completely convinced that this is all by design. There's no way an administration can be this terrible to tweet at gas stations, lower your prices, lower them now. Are you kidding me? You serious? This is all by design, and what this administration is doing is a bunch of smoke and mirrors. It's crazy. And unfortunately, some people in the U.S. are buying it. Most people aren't.
Journal for the leader of the free world to sound like he's channeling Hugo Chavez. A Chinese state media flack praised Mr. Biden's tweet. Quote, now U.S. president finally realized capitalism is about exploitation. He didn't believe this before. Or maybe he didn't. Nobody wanted to believe it. You'd think the president's Ivy League educated economic advisors would have informed him that large refiners own fewer than 5% of all gas stations in America. More than 60% are operated by an individual or family that owns a single store. The rest are independently owned chains or grocery stores that sell fuel. Many license brands from refiners. Refiners largely exited the retail business in the 2000s because of thin profit margins. The Energy Information Administration says distribution and marketing made up about 5% of the price of gasoline in May, about 22 cents a gallon. This covers the cost of freight, labor, utilities, real estate, and credit card margins.
Say that again?
The Energy Information Administration says distribution and marketing made up about 5% of the price of gasoline in May, about 22 cents a gallon. This covers the cost of freight, labor, utilities, real estate, and credit card fees. Most gas stations make a few cents in a gallon in profit and stay in business mainly by selling food and cigarettes.
Yep.
The National
I was going to say that. Most gas stations don't even really make a whole lot of money off of the gas itself. Where they make the real money are the products inside of the gas station. That's where they make the real money. Yeah, they do make some money off of the gas, obviously, but it isn't as much as what you would think. Gas stations, like I said, make the bulk of their money off of their products, which is why when you go to a gas station, products are a lot more expensive than what you would get at, like a regular grocery store or something.
Association of Convenience Stores says its members are struggling amid high gas prices because customers are making fewer stops and buying less. More than a quarter of gas stations have closed since the 90s because they couldn't make the economics work. If retailers were to sell fuel at cost, most would go out of business. Perhaps those owned by the large refiners would survive, but then they'd be accused of predatory pricing by Biden's antitrust cops. Asked about the tweet on Fox News Sunday, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said, quote, anybody that knows President Biden knows he's plain spoken and he tells exactly what he's thinking in terms that everyone can understand. Adding, quote, we obviously take great exception to the idea this is somehow misdirection. This, as the Wall Street Journal notes, is not reassuring. Yes, it turns out he doesn't know what he's doing. Shocker. Who could have foreseen such a thing except everyone who has watched Joe Biden for 5 minutes?
So yeah, the insanity continues. And like I said, I think it's all by design. At this point, there's no way that they're this terrible and that they aren't paying attention to the American folks at all. They know what's going on. And once again, my question would be, why aren't they changing course? Every prediction out there possible is predicting a red tsunami. I even looked at, some 2024 presidential prediction polls. Has Biden losing? Has the Democrats losing? The Democrats are holding office right now. So why aren't they changing course? Has the current administration losing to Trump? And I think even one had the current administration losing to DeSantis. So why aren't they changing course? Are we heading towards a one-party dictatorship type of system? Is that what's in store? Because if you are going down a road as an administration that led to losing your job, and every poll possible was telling you you're going to lose your job, why would you keep going down that road? Have you guys stopped and thought about that for a second? What is really happening? Do they not care about losing their jobs? Or are they going to rig the system so that they don't lose their job? So that's why they don't care about changing course. Are we going to a one-party dictatorship type of system? Those are some questions that I have. But also, back to the LGBTQ part of the video. Like I said before, there are a lot of amazing trans, gay, lesbian. As a matter of fact, I hung out with, a lesbian couple for the 4th. Absolutely amazing folks. Love them to death. And like I said, there's some amazing individuals. It's just the loudest that push, some of this woke stuff, like in the Toy Story, the whole Disney, the whole Disney situation that came out where, some writers admitted to, throwing as much borderline stuff in as possible. Like, these are kids. Why are we doing this? There's a lot of people who are ashamed by it that are a part of that community and that are increasingly starting to speak out against it. So I think here soon we will have a major pushback to reality. But I feel like if this is the middle, we're way over here somewhere. So I think we're going to have a pushback to the middle to where Trans people can exist without, being harmed or anything like that. But all of this in your face 24/7, oh, pride, 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 this, pride, that, pride in kids' movies, pride, I think that will fade into obscurity. We will have, a month of pride or whatever the case is, but all of this constantly being in your face, I don't think that will continue to happen for very much longer. It will kind of revert to the mean, to the middle, which is where I think it should be. We've gone way too far. We're coming back to where we can say what a woman actually is without, a trans person, going insane or feeling like they're hated, because most of the individuals saying this stuff, they don't hate, the trans community or the gay community, lesbian or whatever. So yeah, I think that's what we're reverting back to. As always, y'all let me know how y'all feel about it in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, and of course, hit that subscribe button before you go. Much love to, the LGBT community that is showing some sanity in these crazy times. Peace and love. I'm out.